Mrs. Danielle DeVita back with another video. I overheard someone say that marriage is overrated. A lot of women say, I like the strong silent type. Well, a lot of men like the feminine silent type. And for sure, it's going down. So a lot of times people are not getting the when to speak and when to be quiet is one of the most powerful. She's going to be aggressive thinking that. And as someone who's been married for 12 years, she's driven, not lazy. And this will make yourself and get on the right path. That understand that you might be doing a disservice to your daughter. If you don't help her understand vetting and proper decision making, now she's going to be a basket case later. If you don't help her understand emotional intelligence, she's going to hold on to a lot of emotional baggage. If you don't We live in a world where femininity, marriages, family, and courting is no longer valued. We live in hookup culture, situationships, and struggle love. The number one reason women struggle in long-term relationships, number one, femininity, and number two, staying in a relationship or entertaining people longer than the woman should. My name is Danielle DeVita, and I'm a relationship and femininity coach. I've been married for 12 years, and I want to help you get on your feminine journey and vet for the right man today. For more of my content, you can visit mrsdanielledevita.com, or you can go to YouTube, Instagram, or my Facebook page. Get on your feminine journey today. Hello, we are live, and as I said, we are going to do a Q&A today with my husband, Lawrence. Okay, so before I get started, if you don't know who I am, my name is Danielle DeVita. I am a relationship and femininity coach, and my goal is to help both men and women find the person that they deserve, right? And to do that, for women, the goal is to be in your feminine energy. And make sure that, too, you're not in a relationship longer than you need to be in. And for men, helping you make sure that you remain masculine. So I'm not trying to help you find your masculinity, but what women look for, what they consider to be masculine. So I have a book coming out, Commanding Respect from the Woman You Want. And a lot of these are traits that masculine men exhibit and what women want. So we right here have a masculine man right here, and we're going to be talking, and you can ask questions. Now, in the last live, someone asked about gender roles, so we're going to start off with gender roles, and I have a Q&A because after that I've compiled a lot of questions that people have asked over time, whether on the Philip Scott Show, which I am a contributor there, and through things that people have asked me personally, and through the comments, and I'm going to ask him questions. He's going to ask me questions, and you guys get to ask questions as well. So there is a link that you can choose to get on camera, the StreamYard link. This is Facebook and YouTube. I am no longer streaming on Instagram anymore, my lives. And then you can call 813-816-1813 if you have a question, or you can just post it in the comments. So let me get my comment section ready. So we are going to kick it off. And I think I have my lighting a little too strong here, so we're gonna, all right, so here we go. I think it was Fish Sticks that asked the question in the last live. What do you think about gender roles in relationships? And we can just start with our relationship and how gender roles work.
Okay, yeah, if we're speaking about our relationship, I would say we're fairly traditional in how we go about our day. When you think of different gender roles, for a man, you think of being a provider, a protector, someone who's going to, in a sense, take control, be proactive when it comes to making decisions. And with that being said, also being kind and being humble, and keeping your wife or significant other, abreast of your decision making and keeping them involved in decision making. So I would say, we have a pretty traditional relationship.
Yeah, I would say that. I consider my husband to be the leader of our household. I think that what makes him also a great leader is he recognizes what strengths, both of our strengths. So things that in which I'm good, He would defer to me. So if it's something legal, he would defer to me. He's the financial guy, so I would defer that to him. I will say, when we first got married, we both would budget together. We both did the
Right.
finances
Right.
together, and I will say, the minute I allowed him to just take over that aspect, not that I was clueless, not that I didn't have anything, didn't know what was going on with the finances, but when I let him take over that, I felt like a lot more at peace, like a weight was off my shoulder, something I didn't have to worry about. I just like let you do that. And I think sometimes we as women, we try to hold on to some of those things. If that's not his strength, then that's not his strength.
Right.
But when I allowed you to do that, I realized it gave me actually much more peace, much more relaxation, not to have one extra thing on my plate.
Absolutely. You already have a lot on your plate, you know.
Yeah.
All these wonderful viewers out here, you gotta be there for them.
Yes. Yeah. So, and then as far as gender roles, like our task, I think it's, you know, you mostly do the trash, you do the outside things, I do the inside
Correct.
things.
So it's very traditional in that sense. I will say though, even though we have a traditional relationship, we're not afraid to step out of our boundaries, out of our comfort zones. I'll cook as well. I clean, and you'll take out the trash too. So I think that's the most imperative part in any relationship is being able to be inclusive and how you run your household and how you operate, even though you want to be in those traditional gender roles. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have some questions that people have asked me. Like I said, either on the comment section of the Philip Scott Show, they've actually asked me in the comment section, or just people have asked me personally. So you all see me on camera. Hello, how are you doing? See where? Welcome. Thank you for taking the time to join in. So people ask, am I really this pleasant on camera? Or am I really, like, am I phony? Am I fake? Or is this how I am? What would you say? Do I practice what I preach?
Absolutely. So, you're one of, and I'm not just saying this to you, my wife, being honest, 100%, keep it 100, everybody. You're one of the most genuine people that I know. And you're also a person that will be very honest and transparent, but also you have a knack for being able to do that in a very humbling way. And I feel like that's what sets you apart from a lot of other influencers in your same genre.
Yes, well, thank you. Thank you. I so I'll ask this question for people, whether they may not have actually asked directly. Michael, how are you doing? Thank you. um, so why should people listen to me? There's a lot of people that talk about relationships, a lot of people that have been on that talk about femininity. What makes me different? What makes my channel
Right.
different?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's very easy. To be honest with you, I've researched other femininity channels that have similar concepts as of yours. And what I would say, what makes you different is the fact that you are genuine. You are honest. You're that sister, if you will, or that best friend that people need, right? In all of our lives, we all have what you call yes people, right? Those are the people who it doesn't matter what you ask them, they're always going to tell you something positive. But every now and then, you need to hear something real. And sometimes the most easy way to hear something real, to hear an honest opinion, is by going to someone that you may not know. Maybe you don't know them personally. And I think that's what gravitates people to social media and to pages like yours. So, to make a long story short, and to summarize what makes you better, or what sets you apart, is that you don't have you're unbiased. So, meaning, even though your channel may be geared more to women in a sense, I think you have a holistic channel that's able to help everybody. And whether you're a woman or a man, you're going to be honest. You're going to be very, you're going to be neutral in how you approach it, and you're going to be very honest and concise.
Thank you. Thank you. And I try to be, because yes, this is also a femininity channel which helps women, but I've tried to give advice for men, um, and how they can approach women and how they can be more masculine, they can get respect for women, which is why I have a book coming out, Commanding Respect for the Woman You Want. And don't forget, ladies, I have a book coming out for you as well as and for young teenage girls. So I do have books coming out. It's just I created a shorter book for men to easily read, not this novel. So that one is already going through publishing. But I do want to help men because we kind of find out there's some men who are awkward. They're not like masculine.
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
not. They're not
Absolutely,
doing
100%.
things. So yeah. So I probably asked this before on some other times that you've come on my channel before.
Hmm.
Do you think that I respect you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And a lot of times people don't like to hear that word submission. What does it mean to you?
So I think I'm taking from a woman's point of view, right? So I think a lot of what happens today is, women may perceive submission the wrong way, but also I think that men may perceive it the wrong way as well. So submission is actually something that should be reciprocated by both parties, by the man and the woman. So how does a man submit to a woman, you may ask? Well, a man submits to a woman through love, right? Being able to show love, being able to show support, and being able to be humble, right? How does a woman submit to a man? A woman submits to a man through respect, right? Men like to be respected. We like to feel respected. We don't want to be talked down to, and we want to be admired in some senses, right? And that's not a bad thing. So so submission goes both ways. And I think when we think about it from that aspect, I don't think it's such a bad thing. I think it's only when we think of submission in the stance of a woman needs to submit or bow down to a man. And that's not what it's about.
Okay. All right. So I am going to let, if you all have any questions for me and my husband, you can go ahead and put it in the comments, but I'm going to let him ask some questions from a man's point of view, and you guys can chime in if you want. So he's going to ask a few questions that he thinks could benefit men, or people in a relationship in general.
All right. So, questions for you, since you were the professional in this. All right. So, what are three things that a man should look for in a woman when they're vetting for a relationship?
Um, I would say one is to be feminine. And I'll break that down because feminine is just like this big thing, right? But if I had to break down femininity, one, she's respectful. Because I always say if you can't get a woman to respect you, that relationship's not going to work. So she has to be respectful. She has to be someone who is cooperative, which means she's not someone who is argumentative, always coming, having some disagree, always disagreeable. Like, I think it's okay to disagree, but sometimes there are people who are they just like to argue. They like to pick at stuff. They kind of don't fight their battles. They take petty and trivial things and make it to something. So if you have a woman who's always doing that, she's going to take away your peace. So a woman who's not argumentative or combative, um, so essentially a peaceful woman. So respectful, peaceful. Um, she is someone who is loving and supportive. So she's not always tearing down. She's not always pessimistic. So look for a woman like that. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So respectful, peaceful, and a supportive, encouraging type of woman. You feel good being around her. That's what you want to look for.
Yeah, I agree. From a man's point of view, I think all of those are important. It doesn't matter how beautiful a woman is on the outside. If the internal being isn't there, and trust me, looks do matter, but if the internal being is not there, that's definitely somebody you want to pass on.
Yeah. Yeah, because the people talk about, is she a 9, is she a 10? And I think, in my opinion, if you're calling someone 8 or a 9 or a 10, this woman cannot just have the look. She has to have the mindset that you're looking for as well. That's compatible with your standards. Y'all are aligned in that way. because if not, beauty will fade and you're going to eventually get tired of her. So you want to have something more than that. Beauty will get you in the door, right? And that goes both ways. Good looks will get you, in the door, but you want something past that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and that was actually going to be my next question. The percentage of importance when it comes to looks and physical attraction, and you kind of answered that. It's important. Like real talk, as a man, what I mean. We want someone that we're physically attracted to, but that mental piece, I would say, is just as important as well.
Yeah, I think so. It is important to have someone that you are attracted to because that's where that connection comes from. And then from there, you're more likely to make things work. You're more likely to keep yourself up when you find that that person is also, doing what they need to do to look good. So looks are important because that's the motivation behind a lot of the stuff.
Absolutely, 100%.
So yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna flip that question around. So, what are three things that a woman should look for when vetting a man?
That one, he's emotionally available. Sometimes we're getting with men that are not emotionally there, so they're physically there, but they're not present, which means when we try to communicate with them, it's like they're kind of somewhere else. Their mind is somewhere else. Um, we want men they take leadership, which means they're decisive. They're leaders. They don't want to be the person that's just always sitting back. So whether that's either on their job, whether they're trying to be leaders in their family, making decisions for the family, just leadership qualities.
Right.
And we want men who are masculine. We want men who are masculine, which means you're not like aggressive, all of that, but you're like confident. You know what you want, and it's a turn on when men are masculine and they kind of show up with this level of authority, this commanding presence, not demanding, so not out of fear, but it's just kind of like, yeah, you the boss.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
So with that, let me expound on that a little bit. Let me ask you another question. So, in today's society, with some of the things that we deal with when it comes to men and women dating, you hear a lot of, especially from men, you hear that they don't want to date certain races because they think the women are too masculine, right? And I mean, let's just be honest, right? We hear this a lot in the black culture. That the women are too masculine, or they feel like they don't need a man. So tell me your honest take on that, and what can men do to counteract that, and then also what can women do to aid that as well?
Well, the woman part is easy, just being feminine. Not feminine when you see a guy doing this, you just actually be feminine, stay in your feminine state, because where there's femininity, masculinity will be there. But for men, I wouldn't put too much race on it, because you could say that all day long, but there's a lot of different racial groups in the feminist movement. So um, we try to relegate it to our groups, but that's because sometimes we grew up in a society where um, at least black women didn't get that opportunity to be in their feminine state. They were always trying to survive, trying to fight for their family. And then there's men out the home, which of course the government has a lot to do with that. A lot of people, a lot of women have to do with that, and who they get with. But I'll say for men, I would not look at race as the factor, but mindset as a factor, because a lot of the Western world um, culture has this modern mindset that, oh, we're equals, and I won't have this level of respect for you, and I'm going to talk to you like this. But if a man just looks for mindset when he's talking to women, see where her mind is, see if she's traditional, see if she's respectful, and that's what we want. Because if you don't get that, if you don't see that, then you need to move on.
Right.
So that's really the crossroads. A man saying, okay, well, she's not on my program, she's not trying to do what I want. I wouldn't bang her over the head with the rhetoric of what you hear on social media. That's not a good thing. But just being masculine, you say what you want, you know what your intentions are, and if she's not for it, you just move on, instead of just being mad about it that she's not, on that program. Let's see what someone says. Let's see. Any advice? K Shaw says, any advice for a couple who have opposite schedules? I'm currently doing night shifts as I finished up my rotations for med school. Congratulations. But
Congratulations.
working these hours has strained my relationship with my partner. I'll let you answer that first now. My take on it.
Yeah, so that could be difficult, especially working different hours. Because I think the most difficult part is, okay, how do we find time to really spend with one another, and how do we continue to cultivate our relationship, right? So, just as hard as you're working to finish up school, you also have to put that much effort into your relationship as well. You know, and what better way than to use our relationship as an example, right? So there was a time you were in law school, and we had one kid at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and one on the way. So a lot of different things going on. I had my career as well. And when you're dealing with things like that, you have to be able to create time. And you have to use intentionality when you're trying to do that. If that means making a schedule with your partner, for you guys to spend time together every week. So look at your schedule. You're working a full shift. Find out what time you have, even if it's just an hour a day, whatever time you have, and be very intentional about making sure that you leverage that time with your partner, to be able to, I don't know, watch a movie, talk, whatever the case may be. And then also, you need relief. I mean, you're in school, you're doing so much. You need time you need time to reset. So, what better way to do that than to reset with your partner? So, have a day that is just you guys being able to do what you need to do. So, I don't know if you have a day off during the week, or if you have any vacation time, but every now and then you may want to just take a personal day. We do that from time to time. And, that helps out a lot, especially when you have so many different dynamics that in life that are already going on. School, I don't know if you have children, but definitely be intentional about creating time for you and your partner to spend together.
Yeah, and I'll go as far as saying even more recently, we kind of got into a rut of taking care of business. We got all these businesses going, and we're just doing that, and we'll work. And he's like, "Man, we haven't been on a date in a while because we like to still date each other, go on like dates and things like that." And we have 3 children, so I mean, I've had to make time with, hey, do I need to meet up with you for lunch? Do we need to do something? And of course, our schedules didn't work that day with it, but sometimes we have to kind of, like what he said, be intentional and mindful of how can I make at least an hour of my schedule to be for him. How do I make, early in the mornings that we do stuff like this is is a moment together. So our schedules don't always align the way we want it because our schedules are extremely busy as well. But I think that when you guys both talk about it together, so don't think about it alone, come together and figure out what ways you guys can make it work. A date night, even at the house, if you can't go out, just a quick hour together, do nothing but eat, talk, and drink right in y'all dining room area. So hope that helps.
Don't overthink it either. Sometimes you see your mate every day, and you guys may get in the rut of talking about what happened at school or what's happened at work. Be a little bit more intentional with that time, and use it for good. Use it to learn more about one another and to grow your relationship.
Yes, because we've been together like 15 years, married for 12 and a half, and I still am learning a lot from him. So you can always learn a lot just asking questions about, what is it you like about me? What is it So definitely try to do that. So we are going to do at least about 5 more minutes, and then we are going to try to end the live. I try to keep my live shorter. But if you have questions, still call 813-816-1813, and we'll definitely give you time to talk. You can also click the link for StreamYard if you want to get on camera, or just go ahead and post your questions in the comments. So if you have a question for him or for me, let us know. We definitely want to hear from you. All right. So someone mentioned on social media, I heard, I don't think it wasn't necessarily a question for me, but a lot of people think that when you're married, you are not sexually active. That it's just, it's not the same when you get married. What would you say? I know, put him on the spot.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for that question. So I would say that um, it's something you have to work at, right? Because how can I say this in a nice way? I think I'm just gonna say it. Okay,
Okay.
okay. So it's kind of like having a car, right? You get that nice new BMW 4 Series, and it's the best thing. You wash it, you make sure you keep it vacuumed, everything looking good. But as time progresses, you start to take that car for granted. You know, that car, you don't have the same admiration for that car that you had on day one that you have 3 years later. So you can really tell a car enthusiast because their car can transcend time just by the way it looks. So you have to think of the same thing when it comes to your relationship. You can't take your partner for granted. You have to be able to keep spice in the bedroom. You have to be able to keep spice just in the relationship itself to make sure that you're still building, you're still cultivating. So yeah, so when it comes to sex, I mean, if you're not staying in it, if you're not staying having that same zeal and admiration, then yeah, it's gonna get dull and you're not gonna have sex as much. So I think it's just about keeping that spice there. Did that make sense, or was that just
Yeah. Okay.
like
Now, what about
okay?
us?
Oh, you talking about us? Yeah, we're
Yeah.
good. We good. We good.
Okay.
Yeah, we good.
So, a lot of times people, as they go on in a relationship, like you said, they don't put any energy in it. But you have to actually make effort with that too, and that
Absolutely,
requires
100.
intimacy, not just actual physical, sexual intimacy. But you gotta, talk, have conversations, kiss, hug, and those things can kind of cultivate that energy for you to always want to be around your partner and do things with your partner often. So and sometimes there's things going on in a relationship, which is why people aren't doing those things. So we try to make sure that we keep things spiced up in our relationship, keep talking, keep enjoying each other. That way, when those times come, it's not like a chore. It's something that we want to do. So a lot of times I know people have these issues, especially men. This is the question that men have often, and I see it circulating around that, oh, okay, well, married people don't get to get any. Well, I don't think that's true. And sometimes people say that married men are simps. What do you think about that?
Who says that?
Yeah, some people say married men are simps.
So elaborate for me. Like, what do you mean?
They
How?
put their wives on pedestal and this and that, and I think it just depends on the man, in my opinion.
It depends on the man. Absolutely, 100%. It doesn't matter if you can be a married simp or a single simp. I mean, or a non-married simp. It just depends on the man. That goes back to confidence, masculinity, ambition. Those things create positivity for yourself and create self confidence. So yeah, I know for sure I ain't no simp. So they weren't talking about me. So.
Well, a lot of people are talking about women who are advocating for good men, because we hear a lot about men in our community in a negative way. So I do try to talk about men that are good, because I know good men in my life. So I try to do that. They would say, like, I've had someone call me a mammy and a pick me.
Oh, wow.
And what do you think about women labeling women as pick me's, just for advocating to men? They say they're pandering to men.
I mean, you have thirsty women out here. Same thing with calling a man a simp. I mean, it just really goes to the personality. So are there not pick me women out there? Yeah, they are. Now, I wouldn't use that vernacular. I don't think that's the right word to use. I think it's a little disrespectful if I'm quite honest. But if we're being honest, I mean, you do have those type of women out there. So really, at that point, it just goes back to personality. And just like a man should exude confidence, ambition, and positivity, women should do the same thing as well. Don't settle for just any man. Keep your standards high. Now, not too high, right? We don't want to have shallow standards. What do you call it? 666.
Yeah,
We don't want to
we
have
wanted the
that.
guy. He
So
got to be 6 figures, 6 inches tall, made 6 inches,
oh,
6 feet
six,
tall,
yeah.
and 6 figures. So a lot of women are saying that, but there should be more. And well, that shouldn't even be what you base off what a good man is, because you may miss the mark on a man who's 5'10" or 5'9".
Yeah, that's very shallow, because I mean you looking for a 6'7" dude, but you're not getting everything else. So you got a tall dude who don't make no money, and I mean it's just it doesn't it's just it's not a great way to look at people. You need to look at the internal as well as the external to make sure you get a quality choice.
I agree. All right, so we are going to wrap it up, but I will try to have you on more often, so when people do have questions, because I think
your viewers like me.
I think men could easily ask you questions that could benefit them.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we are going to end this live, but I do want to ask you one last question.
Yeah, what you got?
If a man is saying, what was it that you had to do to get with me, to seal the deal? Because some people may say it's not too many women that have the same kind of mindset that I have. Given in today's society, not too many women are traditional. Not too many women, see submission and respect as a positive thing. Or what did you do? How did you connect with me?
As far as how did I vet? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, just knowing what you want, just like anything else, just like a career, you got to know what you want out of your relationship. What kind of woman do you want? Do you want a traditional woman? Do you want a more modern woman? And what you expect. And then make sure that you don't settle for anything less than that. And then make it very clear and transparent when you're dating and when you're meeting women.
But you're speaking in the general sense. I'm talking about you specifically.
I would say, are you saying like as far as your personality?
Yes.
What made me pick you? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you were kind. You were very humble, and you made it very clear what you wanted when we dated. You said you were looking for a husband, and you were looking for somebody who was very similar to you in a sense. And I think that when we dated, we vibed very well, so it made it a pretty easy choice.
Yes. Now, mind you, he said it first. I asked my question first. What are you looking for? And he said he's looking for a wife. And then he asked me, and I said, okay, well, I'm looking for a husband. So I think it started out with first expressing our intentions. Yeah. And then we kind of got to talking. He got to see that I had the same mind frame as him. Like we kind of were compatible in that way, had the same standards. So if we didn't have the same standards, I doubt he would have asked me out.
Yeah, and we, I think it comes with how you grow up as well. We have a very similar family dynamic, both from two-parent households, old souls. We were talking about that the other day. We're kind of old souls. So, we met in our early 20s. And at that point, knowing what we want, that's not the norm. But I would say it made for a awesome relationship so far.
Yeah. All right. So we are going to head out. If y'all do have more questions, please put them in the comment and maybe I can bring him back and we can answer these questions more. If you are wanting to get on camera next time, you are able to do that on the next live that we have. Is today Thursday? So yeah. Tuesday, you'll be able to do that. All right. So I do appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you all so much for taking the time to listen to us, and we are going to head out. All right, see. This is Danielle DeVita back with another video. I overheard someone say that marriage is overrated. A lot of women say, I like the strong silent type. Well, a lot of men like the feminine silent type. And for sure, it's going down. So a lot of times people are not getting the when to speak and when to be quiet is one of the most powerful. She's going to be aggressive thinking that. And as someone who's been married for 12 years, she's driven, not lazy. And this will make yourself and get on the right path. That understand that you might be doing a disservice to your daughter. If you don't help her understand vetting and proper decision making, now she's going to be a basket case later. If you don't help her understand emotional intelligence, she's going to hold on to a lot of emotional baggage. If you don't We live in a world where femininity, marriages, family, and courting is no longer valued. We live in hookup culture, situationships, and struggle love. The number one reason women struggle in long-term relationships, number one, femininity, and number two, staying in a relationship or entertaining people longer than the woman should.
My name is Danielle DeVita, and I'm a relationship and femininity coach. I've been married for 12 years, and I want to help you get on your feminine journey and vet for the right man today. For more of my content, you can visit mrsdanielledevita.com, or you can go to YouTube, Instagram, or my Facebook page. Get on your feminine journey today.